So, tell me something about photosynthesis. Okay, it needs water. What else? It needs sunlight. What else? We need CO2. Okay, did we just basically give ourselves the equation for photosynthesis, at least the reactant side? Yeah, we've got H2O plus energy plus CO2 yields. Okay, so what do we get out of this? What do we get? What do we get? C6, H12, O6, good, plus O2, excellent. Okay, we just wrote the equation for photosynthesis. Where is the organelle this happens in? Where is the organelle inside the cell inside the plant cell that this happens in? Chloroplast. Okay? And remember, the chloroplast looks like it looks like a mitochondria, but it looks like it has little batteries stacked up. Okay? Right. Is there anything you can tell me about photosynthesis? Talk to me about the energy. Where does the energy come from? It comes from sunlight. But does it care about the heat from the sun? No. What does it care about? The light. Okay. And we say that the sunlight is captured. And the only reason we need to tell you that it's captured is because in cellular respiration it's something different. So the plants capture the sunlight using the chloroplast with some water and some CO2. They're going to give us C6H12O6, which we know is what? What is it? Sugar. Good, William. This is sugar. And it's got a fancy name. What's this fancy name that we call it? C6H12O6 is glucose. And we know that glucose is a sugar because it ends in OSC. Fructose, lactose, all the sugars just about end in OSC. All right, let's move to the other side. Tell me something you know about cellular respiration. What do you know about cellular respiration? That is respiration. So it obviously has something to do with oxygen. What else? Let's start with where does it happen? If photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast, where does respiration happen? Where's energy created in the cell? No. And where? Nope. Nucleus controls the DNA. In the mitochondria. So the organelle is the mitochondria. And it looks like this. Okay? So it's a big difference between what the chloroplast looks like and what the mitochondria look like. And truthfully, this looks like M's to me. I make an M kind of movement when I do this. M for mitochondria. So who can write the equation for cellular respiration? Remember I said it's just photosynthesis flipped. So let's see if we can write it. Do you think you got it, Marlon? Okay, so take the last part of this one, put it over here. It's what we need. So what do we breathe? What do we breathe? O2 plus C6H12, our friend the sugar. And we're done. Now, what are the products? These are the reactants. What are the products? So what do we breathe out? CO2 and H2O. You're absolutely right. So we breathe out H2O, but what's the gas? CO2. Now, over here we have energy in the form of sunlight. What's the energy we put here? ATP. and we have 36 ATP per molecule of glucose. All right. Now, we got a mitochondria here. We got a chloroplast here. Do we need to draw a mitochondria over here? Yeah. Plants have mitochondria too. So put your mitochondria down there. Do animal cells have a chloroplast? We do photosynthesis. Remember that the chloroplast's only function is photosynthesis. So we don't have one. We don't need one. We can't, unfortunately, go out in the sun and go, ooh, battery recharge. We can't do that. Okay? Okay. Turn the page. So, photosynthesis. CO2 is a gas, as we know. You know what H2O is? It's water. And energy is sunlight. Sunlight. And it gives us a sugar, and it gives us oxygen. Yay for plants. So this is the formula for photosynthesis.
Wording on top of CO2.
Gas. It's a gas. CO2 is a gas. It's what plants need. We don't need it. If we continually breathe CO2, we'll die. If you put a bag over your mouth and your nose and you continually breathe in and out, you'll pass out and usually drop the bag. If you don't pass out, if someone holds it there, you'll die. Okay, what is the energy source in photosynthesis? Where is this energy coming from? Sunlight. Which part is the reactant? Okay, so reactants are like the parts in a factory. So the reactant is on the left-hand side. These are the parts that go in to make a product. So these are the reactants in the factory. That's the windshield, the wheels, the dashboard, all come together to make what? All come together to make what? A car. Okay? So this, our product is the car. Reactants on the left-hand side, products on the right, and the dividing line is the arrow. Are you going to do notes? Okay. Just checking. What is the organelle responsible for the energy production? The what? The chloroplast. Okay, photosynthesis, plants, converts light energy, okay, on this side. And what are they doing? They're turning it into this kind of, what kind of energy? They're turning it into chemical energy. And chemical energy just means there's a chemical reaction that's going on. So inside our bodies, 1 million times a day at least, this ATP has to be made, breaking down this sugar to give us energy. This chemical reaction happens 1 million times a day. Or we get sick or we die. And if you didn't get all that, we're going to come back. Okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, here's our experiment. If you want the experiment, we just need to do it for real. We'll do a real experiment next week. Both mice are sealed in an airtight container. One mouse dies. Why? Why did this mouse die and this one didn't? Marlon. Yeah, what's the plant doing for him? And you're absolutely right. So this one's got a plant. It's doing what? It's giving off O2. It's giving off oxygen. Excellent, Marlon. Okay, so it's giving off O2. So the mouse is what? Breathing in the O2? What's the mouse breathing out? CO2. So the mouse is breathing it out, CO2. What does the plant need? It needs CO2. Have we got kind of a circle thing going here? Mouse breathes in the O2, breathes out the CO2. Plant breathes in the CO2, breathes out the O2. They've done experiments like this. You can take and think about humans. If you were going to build an underground or an underwater city, you think it'd be important to put a whole bunch of plants down there, maybe generating some oxygen, getting rid of that CO2? Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Okay? All right. So, this is sea kelp. It grows in the ocean. You see it washed up on the beach a lot. I think they actually use it to wrap some things in steam in some countries. They can wrap fish and stuff in it. And it's naturally salty and full of water, so they could steam it really good. All right, so do you think this kelp plant uses photosynthesis? Yes. Now, the question is, why? How do you know that? Because it's green? It has leaves? What is this word here? Plant. Do we know any plant that doesn't use photosynthesis? The answer to that is no. If it's a plant, by default, it uses photosynthesis. All right? So, all right, we decided it needs photosynthesis. It's living by photosynthesis. Let's walk through it and see how that works. Where's the energy source? The sun. So here's our energy. Do you think it has any water? Think water is going to be a problem for it? No, it's living in water. Okay. I'm going to draw another little picture here, just so you know. He gets a little CO2. He's going to get it from the fish. He'll get it from some of the other aquatic life. There's CO2 that comes out of the ocean floor. So there's CO2. Do we have everything we need for photosynthesis? Yeah. So we've got CO2 plus H2O plus energy. We're ready to rock and roll. So absolutely. Okay, here's the question. Do you think the leaves up here or the leaves down here are most efficient doing photosynthesis? Which one? It's not a yes or no, it's which one. Why on top, William? It gets more sunlight. Excellent. So these leaves up here are going to grow and produce more oxygen and do all those plant things a lot better than those ones down there. In fact, these guys are probably doing the work. These guys down here are probably just along for the ride. Okay? So, the leaves at top, because they're near what? Near the sun. Okay? Excellent. You guys got that and the mouse one really, really well. Okay. If we look very close at the leaves, what do you think we might see leaving the plant? What leaves the plant? The what? No. What leaves the plant? What does the plant give us? Oxygen. Excellent. So have you ever been in the swimming pool under the water and you blew out? What happens? What do you make? Bubbles. That's what plants, you're going to see this bubbling happening. Okay? Now, up here near the sunlight, do you think that? And down here in the dark, do you think it would look kind of like that? Yeah. The ones up here are going to be doing a lot more photosynthesis, producing a lot more oxygen. So this is our O2 coming off those plants. We can't see it. It's oxygen. It's clear. We can't see it. But we can see the bubbles, and that's the oxygen coming off. And the closer to the light, the more photosynthesis is going to happen, thus more oxygen. Okay? Pardon me? Yeah, it says near the top. It's near the sun. So we're going to see O2 being released. O2 being released. All right. What do you think the word inferred means? And I'm open to any guesses at all. What do you think inferred means? You guys got a clue, Victor? Inferred. Not shrink. Good guess. Not shrink. Number you got to guess. Infer. If I infer something. Add, take out. I infer that a guess. So, or a prediction. I even like prediction good. Or guess. Okay? But it's based on what? Based on information. That's the big part. It's up at the top, it got cut off. So it's based on now, I couldn't say I infer that Leandra's the only girl in here. Because that's just simply a fact. But I could infer that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in here. I bet we have a minimum of 4 cell phones.
I don't have a phone.
I know. That's why that said there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I infer there's probably at least 4 cell phones. Let's see if I'm right. How many people in here have a cell phone? 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it. Okay, I have one that's 5. Okay, I did that because I know usually how many people in a classroom have cell phones. From experience, from you guys use them in class, I had information that I could base that guess on. Okay, so does that make a little more sense what the word inferred means? All right, what does aerobic mean? Aerobic, kind of like aeroplane. I'll give you that hint. We had a picture. Not fly, air. Where does it fly? In the air. Aero, in the air. So this means not so much air, because we're in science. It means what?
Airless.
It means, that's what that means. It means, what's that? Oxygen. Okay? So if this means oxygen, Kev, what you got a feeling about what anaerobic means? What would anaerobic mean? This means with oxygen. What's anaerobic mean? No oxygen. Good job, bud. No oxygen. Okay? No oxygen. You got to know these. We're going to talk some more about these. In which organelle does cellular respiration take place? We know we've got a chloroplast that produces energy. What's the other one that produces energy? The mitochondria. So the mitochondria is where the energy is produced. What is the equation for cellular respiration? Can you do it? What do we need to breathe? O2. Let's start there, because it's all about us. Okay? So here we are. And we need to breathe O2. Now, we need to eat food, right? And that's going to be in the form of sugars. So we're going to have C6H12O6. All right, now, because we got to have the other side of this, what do we breathe out? And CO2. Thank you, gentlemen. CO2. If you put, and what else? I thought I heard it. If you put a mirror up here and you go, what does it get? It gets hot. What else? Water. We need H2O plus, what is this missing that our photosynthesis has? We got it from the sunlight. The ATP, and what is ATP? What do we call it? Energy. So plus energy, which is in the form of ATP, and we have 36 of those per molecule of glucose. And you need 1 million of those a day. Okay, so we got a little plant. I always like drawing little flowers. Happy little flowers. Usually around here covered with snow. So, what gas do plants need? What do they take in? They gas? William, What gas do they need?
Oxygen.
They do not need oxygen.
I mean, CO2.
CO2. Come on, guys, you got to remember where these go. CO2, it needs it. What does it give off? Oxygen. Let's go to blue. I like blue for oxygen. So it's going to give us O2. Okay, here we are. This is Mr. Smith today, looking particularly dashing. He's got a little bit of the gordito thing going on. Maybe a little bit more than he would like. He's got his little badge on. What is Mr. Smith breathing in? Oxygen. Thank you. What is Mr. Smith breathing out? Carbon dioxide. Can this start all over again? Can the CO2 go right around here up to this plant? CO2, the plant goes, ooh, CO2, yum, gives us off O2. I go O2 because I really like breathing, because if you don't breathe, you lay in the ground and take a dirt nap forever, and I'm going to breathe out CO2. It's a cycle, okay? A cycle is a circle of events. We good? Moving on. So what is ATP? One word. What is it? It is energy. But I want you to write something else here. I want you to write that it's cellular energy. Okay? Because this is energy that happens in the cell. And it happens in animal cells. And it happens in plant cells. So it happens in both. Okay. So what is a heterotroph? Going back to ecology, you should have already given me the answer. Animals. Why? Well, they do not make their own food. They have to eat. These are eaters. I just love that new term. I think I made it up. They're eaters. Are we eaters? Yeah. We got to eat something. We don't go out and stand in the sun and wait for the water and stuff. Okay. If that's a heterotroph, then what is an autotroph? Plants. And if these are eaters, these are self-feeders. Meaning they're getting their energy from photosynthesis. Okay, so you're going to draw a chloroplast. Oh, you are, Kevin. You're a self-feeder? And that's a mitochondria. Chloroplast, mitochondria, so you don't forget. Okay, you ready? Okay, less talking, more writing. I'm going to give you guys a chance to get caught up. Okay. So, we have yummy on top and pain on the bottom. So we're going to talk about two kinds of cellular respiration. This is called fermentation. And I love it because it gives me one of the things I love the most of, cheese. No, I'm not big on beer. Mrs. Smith is big on beer, I'm not. Yeah, I much prefer, if I'm going to do some kind of fermentation, to do it in wine, but she really likes her beers. I like Mexican beer. Okay, we need a little bacteria. We need some sugar. And we need some yeast. And what we don't need is air. No air. No O2. Fermentation happens in an anaerobic state. No oxygen. Okay? There's two types. There's fermentation, yum. Yes, Marlon. Why does the beer have bubbles in it? Because this sugar and this yeast produce CO2. Champagne bubbles, this is CO2 gas that's being released. Okay? Why does bread have holes in it? When you slice a piece of bread, especially the really good kind of bread I like, it's got holes in it. That's from these CO2 holes being formed with the yeast and the sugar. The yeast eats the sugar, and that's the lab we're actually going to do next class. The yeast eats the sugar. The yeast is a single cell fungus. Huh? Carbon, it has carbon dioxide in it. Yeah, they use CO2 gas, but they pump it in. This is naturally occurring. So the yeast are a single cell fungus. They eat the sugar, and the byproduct is CO2. Okay? All right, this is the one that's not good. So how many of you have been out there running? That's me about the third step up. And my legs hurt, and it's pain. What is happening? Yeah, I know, Marlon, you're laughing. 2 steps, I'm panting. You go up and down the soccer field 15 times. Okay, this is called lactic acid. And what this is you've used up all the oxygen in your body. Now you've gone into an anaerobic state, and your body doesn't like it. It needs that oxygen. So the pain is telling you, chill. You keep doing this. If you don't stop it for a second, get some more oxygen in me so I can continue with this cellular respiration, then I'm going to keep cramping up. And that's what, and so in a way it's bad, but in a way it's a safety feature built into your body that says, no mas. We need to stop. Okay? Alright, so both of these are cellular respiration without air. Okay, there's lactic acid and there's fermentation. They're anaerobic. Aerobic is with air, anaerobic is without air. Alright, these are simple definitions, but I want you to know these. I'm going to start hammering these definitions with you guys. What is dehydration? Well, what is hydration? What does it mean to keep hydrated in the summer? Drinking a lot of water. So dehydration would mean what? You don't have enough, yeah. Okay, and that's basically what it is. Doesn't have enough water or other fluids to carry out its normal functions. Your body needs to maintain homeostasis. Okay, the amount of water is important for homeostasis. What is respiration? Respiration is the process occurring within living cells. The chemical energy, remember we were talking about captured energy with the sun, chemical energy of organic molecules, okay? Glycolysis. Glycolysis is the breaking apart of this glucose, this sugar. This is what gives us the energy. Fermentation is the anaerobic. We just talked about that. Anaerobic. No O2. Okay? And glucose, we know what glucose is. You guys can give me the equation. What is it? Sugar. Okay? Know these words. Alright, and we're going to come back if you didn't miss the part. Alright, so here's my cool little demo I did. So this is ATP. This is ATP. This is just too cool. ATP. The power of our cells. All cells run off of ATP. Okay? Adenosine triphosphate. 3 phosphates, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Remember I talked to you last class that if you take a rubber band, you keep stretching, what happens? It snaps, hurts your fingers, but the moment until it breaks is called potential energy. As soon as it breaks, that's real energy. That's kinetic energy. These are bonds. We'll talk about those later, but I want you guys to remember that things that hold molecules together are bonds. So we're going to break one. Boom, it's gone. As soon as it's gone, we create energy. It went from triphosphate, ATP, you don't have to remember this, but to ADP. What do you think the D stands for? Di. Adenosine diphosphate. A word I do not like because I cannot say it. All right. But we have free-floating phosphates, and one comes along, waiting to be broken again. Goes over and over 1,000,000 times. You need this to happen 1,000,000 times a day in your body, or we take a dirt nap. Okay?
All 3 of them break.
Pardon me?
All 3 of them break.
You know, I'm going to have to look that up. To my knowledge, the way this works is the 3 never break. It's always this one that breaks off, the end one, and then another one comes and hooks on to the end. Now, I am not 100% sure of that, so I'm going to check it, if someone else has. But to my knowledge, this is the way ATP works. So these 2 phosphates, this bond here, maybe this action of getting another one on the end of it may be so fast Leandra, that all three of them can't work. All right? And this is complicated. What goes on inside the mitochondria to do this? In school would take you about 3 weeks just to study the mitochondria. You'll spend 3 weeks on the chloroplast. This is the power of both plant and animal. So there's a lot of information there. All right. We are